Hi, everybody. I'm Bryan Mudd, a fan of South Plains politics. Here's your talking points for this week. When the going got tough managing the city of Wolford, some of the city's leaders decided to get out. So what happened and what's next? And when the federal government decided to get out of the border wall business, the governor seizing an opportunity to finish an expensive political job.
From the studios of KAMC Television in Lubbock, your local election headquarters. This is Talking Points with Bryan Mudd.
Thanks for joining us, everybody. Also this week, adjusting the budget. We all have to do it at home, especially as the kids get older and start eating more and more. That can be easy or hard, but parents have to prioritize the decisions that are important to them. And we ask our elected leaders to do the same with our tax dollars. As a general rule, most people don't mind expanding the city or county budgets for things like school improvements or public safety. And so the Lubbock Professional Police Association has been getting out in front of the pending budget decisions by talking a lot about their idea to increase pay for officers to match similar-sized cities in Texas. As our Olivia Whitehead found out, they think it's something that can make life easier for them and you.
People can look around and see, hey, I can go work somewhere else that's maybe not as violent as Lubbock. I can go to Abilene and make 10 to 15% more and have less crime. And so if they do end up leaving, then we're losing all that experience to handle our crime.
A point members of the LPPA were trying to get across to the community that without senior officers, residents are affected.
The way we are right now is we have a lot of people that shouldn't be leaving. If your experience is gone, you have new people training new people, and we'd like to keep our senior officers here to just take care of and train our officers so they know how to do the job as well as our current officers do.
Which is where increased pay comes in.
Right now we're in the budget process, and one of the things you talk about morale, when we look at the pay and benefits for our officers, that is a key point that we are trying to address here in Lubbock with our police department.
But they don't want to put the pressure on our tax dollars.
We have money that's already funded in the budget for open positions, and we want to use that money that's there because that's the wise thing to do for the citizens. If we don't have to have a tax increase, no one wants to pay more taxes. All our officers are for the most part, are citizens here. They don't want their taxes to go up because that means they're paying more money as well.
So far, most residents have been supportive. Now the LPPA just hopes their conversations with city representatives turn into action.
We've had detectives that have talked to me and just random people have come up to them and said, hey, we've heard your message, we're here, we support you. And then just be able to tell them, hey, you're doing a great job. We appreciate your help, and keep doing what you're doing because we've had really good conversations with all the leaders.
Olivia Whitehead reporting there. A special session of the legislature isn't good for the budget, upwards of $1 million just for being there about a month. But Governor Abbott has called one now for July 8th, potentially for several items, but certainly for one of his priority projects, the election reform bill. And he does this despite the fact that 41% of Texans polled by Quinnipiac recently said they disapprove of the bill, although there are quite a few people who don't know a lot about what's in it. But it's important for the governor and others, and important enough for Democrats to walk out of the House chamber at the end of the session to mess up the vote on that bill. Texas House Speaker Dave Phelan had to deal with all of that. He was in Lubbock this week to talk about the session with the Lubbock Chamber and folks from Texas Tech, and he also spoke to our Wes Rappaport.
Let's start at the end of this session. Can you walk me through where we landed, as we finish this one out, this regular session anyway? Are you satisfied with how this session turned out?
I'm extremely satisfied from where we ended session, especially where we began session with COVID and high unemployment rates, a budget deficit, a severe budget deficit. The impact it had on public education and higher education, some of the things we all care about back home. And then going through Winter Storm Uri and some of the other challenges we had during the session to end where we did, I couldn't be happier, to be honest with you. The budget fully funds the commitments we made to House Bill 3 from last session, which no one thought we could get done. We held them harmless through all of COVID. The public education was held harmless, which again, no one would have thought was possible in January. In the waning hours of the budget negotiation, we fully funded enrollment growth for our universities, which was very important to a lot of House members, especially broadband, telehealth, telemedicine. We took care of all that. Eminent domain, which I thought was healthcare reforms, for maternal mortality and children's health insurance program reform, criminal justice reform, which was stuff that wouldn't even get hearings a session or two ago or on the governor's desk. Even the election integrity, the House passed over 20 election integrity bills that are going to the governor's desk that I don't think a lot of people realize. I mean, we took care of a lot of the big items that both members of both parties wanted to get done. And so I'm very happy where things landed.
One of the things that I guess threw a wrinkle in the final days was this Democratic walkout over the elections bill, the sort of that overarching elections bill, and as a result, the governor said he's not going to sign off on Article 10 of the budget. That helps fund this place. Can you kind of explain to me your thoughts on whether that's an appropriate reaction to what happened?
I understand his frustration. I was frustrated as well. I wanted to get election integrity done. I wanted to get bail reform done. Those were both his emergency items from the governor that were there in the last day. There were also some other items on that calendar that I wanted to get done as well that dealt with, brain health. Ms. Thompson had a great brain health bill that dealt with mental health issues. There's a no-knock warrant bill that Representative Woodhouse. There was a great criminal justice bill that also didn't make it because of that calendar dying due to a lack of quorum. But I met with the Democratic caucus by myself, and I told them that, I understand. There's a rumor that there will be a quorum break tonight. I have the ability to lock the doors and arrest House members. I was not going to do that because we're going to take this up in some form and fashion. So, if you don't want to be here this evening, there's other bills that are going to die because of that, but we will be back discussing this, along with bail reform. And of course, the next day he announced that. Now, my only concern with the Article 10 issue is that constitutionally, legislators get paid no matter what. And it's $600 a month. It's $2.69 after taxes and deduction for myself. But there are some staff and support staff who had nothing to do with those bills passing or not passing on the 139th day of session. So I wouldn't want to see them negatively impacted by vetoing Article 10, but at the same time, I can rest assured that we are going to show up and do the business of Texans when the governor calls us back.
The lieutenant governor said that we wouldn't have been in this position had the calendar been managed differently. And he told me, he pointed to House calendar mismanagement as the reason for being in that position in the first place. What is your response to that claim? He's
referring to the point in time when we did not meet on a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We finished all three of those calendars on Sunday. We finished the Friday calendar, we finished the Saturday calendar, and we finished the Sunday calendar all on Sunday, well into the morning hours. All those bills passed. The issue with Senate Bill 7 had nothing to do with that. We passed, if they would have just passed House Bill 7, Senate Bill 7 as the House passed it, if they would have passed Senate Bill 7 as the House passed it on May 17th, then we wouldn't be having this discussion. I thought we sent them a very great document. I thought we sent them a great bill. We worked really hard on that, and it was true election integrity reform. And it's something that I am certain the governor would have passed. But the House has rules, and when a bill comes out of conference with 24 hours left, I can't just change the clock. That's not how we do it in the House. We just have rules, and we can't suspend the Constitution to hear bills. Onto a special session, at least one. What's your wish list for what goes on that special session call? Well, it's the governor's decision. I'm not the governor. I'm not going to tell the governor when to call a special session and what to put on a special session. We know it's going to be bail reform. We know there'll be election integrity. I think the House did a lot of great work, and the Senate as well. We both worked really hard together on all the issues that came forth after the Winter Storm Uri. But I think we can do more. I think there's some securitization issues and some issues where we can help the consumer, those who had really high bills, and how we can help the companies who may have to pay, provide or I guess bill those costs into the consumers and pass it on. There's ways we can help, especially the co-ops and the municipal providers. So I think there's some work to do on the grid that we can come back on. I'd be happy to discuss that with, and I think I'd love, if I was given the opportunity, I'd love to add more criminal justice reform and more healthcare reform. We did some great things in the House, but we have a lot more to do.